Welcome to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast, where we share tips, techniques, and true stories to support you in using the law of attraction and alchemy to create magic and live the life of your dreams. Here's your host, the founder of DailyAlchemy.com, Michelle Martin Dobbins.
Hi, this is Michelle Martin Dobbins with DailyAlchemy.com. And today's episode of Adventures in Alchemy is a very special one. It's a lot longer than the normal episode, but it is so worth your time. I'll be interviewing Leonie Dawson of LeonieDawson.com, and she is fabulous. If you want to have the best 2016, the best year of your life, it is so worth your time to listen to her. She runs a $2 million company online. And every year since, I think, 2008, she produces these wonderful workbooks and now planners that help you plan out your goals and basically make your dreams come true because you are focusing on where you want to go and where you've been. And they're just magical little workbooks. I've done them for the past 3 years. They were one of the very few products that I promote that are not my own. And the only reason I promote them is because I personally use them and love them. Since I started using them, I've seen my goals coming true a lot faster. After years and years of wanting to go on a trip to Italy, last year we went as a family. My family of 6 went to Italy, which was something that seemed so out of reach for so long. I started my online business. I started the Magical Life Manifesting Club. So many wonderful things have happened to me since using these workbooks, and that's why I recommend them. They are geared towards women. The illustrations are amazingly gorgeous, but there are some men who are using them because the power of the questions and the exercises that they walk you through are amazing for men or for women. But that being said, there's not a lot of men who are going to want to carry these around. So if you're a man, you might want to get one for the woman in your life. And Leonie did hire a COO who is male. So maybe next year there might be a male version coming. I don't know. I just made that up. So I have no idea if that's ever going to happen, but it would be really cool. So I do want you to know before we dive into this interview that I am offering special deals for people who purchase through my affiliate link. And if you don't know what an affiliate link is, that means that I'm referring you to Leonie and she's paying me thank you monies if you purchase through me. But you will still pay the same price. Your price does not go up if you purchase through my link. It's the same price that you purchase if you go outside of my link. So if you want to help me out and thank me for letting you know about Leonie, there is a link in the show notes where you can check out these workbooks and purchase if you'd like. And as a thank you to you, if you do purchase, send me an email at mmdobbins@dailyalchemy.com. And you can find my email link on dailyalchemy.com. There's a little envelope in the right-hand corner. And forward your receipt from Leonie, and I will send you a link to get a free online class from me on Create Your Magical 2016. It has 5 video lessons, a little workbook, and it also has some other bonus classes in there. So there's a lot for that. Plus, one person who purchases through me will also win a year's worth of goals coaching with me, which will give you 1 live call a month to check in on your goals and 48 weekly emails in between so that when you're working through your workbooks, you're going to have an accountability partner, me, who's going to keep you on track and help you meet all of your goals in 2016. Okay, so on to Leonie. 2 things that you should know. 1, Leonie likes to use colorful language, so just be aware there may be a few F-bombs dropped in this interview. And 2, if you don't have a notebook, piece of paper, or something to take notes on, you might want to stop and do that now because there are some seriously good tips from her and some great action things that you can do from listening to this interview. So without further ado, here is Leonie.
Hi, Mommy.
Hey! Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if I can put this on so I can see you. Oh, or so you can see me. Hey! How are you? Good morning.
Good morning to you. I'm so sorry for mistaking the time. I usually do all my interviews at 7:30, and this one's at 7, and so I'm a little bit like, oh, fuck a duck. I should have gotten out of bed earlier.
That's okay. I'm hiding in my closet. I may actually walk out into my bedroom, but my kids are homeschooled, and so they actually have a helper out there with them, so they were kind of getting rowdy a little bit ago. I was hiding.
It's awesome. And the walk-in closet is also awesome for the sound absorption.
That's true. Maybe I should stay in there.
I actually have a friend who is the ABC correspondent, which is like the big Australian Broadcasting Commission, for Africa. And I was talking to him when he was home from holidays, and he was like, yeah, I could record it in the studio, but you know what really rocks? Record it home on my laptop in the walk-in closet. Like the sound option from the closet. Real.
Awesome.
So, there we go. Pro tip.
That's awesome, because that's where I do all my podcasts usually, just because it's the only quiet place in my house.
Well, no. Even the ABC correspondent is doing it.
I didn't know I was so professional.
I laugh. It's like, oh my gosh, Martin. He's like, it's true. It really works. And so he does he files all of his reports to be read out on ABC radio across Australia from his walk-in robe in Kenya. Bless him.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I asked the people in some of my Facebook groups if they had questions. So I have kind of a hodgepodge of questions, if that's okay.
That's totally cool. I love going wherever things take us.
Cool. Okay. So do you want to just tell a little bit about your inspiration for starting the workbooks? Because I know you started it for yourself, right? And it just kind of expanded from there.
Yes. So, I remember when I was trying to work out a way to make a living from the things that I really, really loved. And I went for a walk and I listened to Tony Robbins for an hour. And I've never been like a huge, like Tony Robbins groupie. Like, I think it's amazing and all. But I never really got into it. But I listened to this hour of power. And he said to set 3 goals for the next 18 months. And I thought, well, fuck it. Being a goals-free hippie isn't particularly taking me closer to what I want to achieve. So I'll give this a go. And I set those goals, and the top one, first and foremost, was to learn to create $30,000 from my passions in the next 12 months. And I came home and I thought, how the fuck is that going to happen? But since the goal was there, I was like, well, I just need to work out how to make it happen. And so I just learned as much as I could about business and marketing, and in the next 12 months, I did it. And I was like, right, this goals thing's like, wow, it actually work. And so I decided that I wanted to create myself like a little goals workbook for the next year. And I didn't want I didn't want to do it boring. I wasn't attracted to the goals books that were out there. There wasn't any workbooks out on the market at that point, but just normal goals books just left me really uninspired.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create my own rainbow one, and that was 2009. And I created it over the space of about 3 days. And then I got to the end and I was like, oh, this is actually really cute. Like, I think I might just turn it into a PDF, and if I can sell it online and maybe sell it to 10 people, like, that'll be blunt enough. And that year, 1,000 people bought it in the space of a month. And I was like, holy shit. So now I think we've sold over 250,000 of printed and digitals, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Very cool. So yeah, that actually kind of goes into the next question, because I was like, I teach a lot about manifesting and having more magic in your life, but I find that like when you start actually writing down your goals and actually taking action, then it kind of seems like the universe steps in. Like when you have to do that first part, and then things go easier. So I was going to say, what kind of things have you seen like that for you? But I guess the workbooks themselves kind of were that way because you got the inspiration and started doing it. But have you seen a lot of other things where since you're taking this massive action that you feel like the universe is kind of meeting you halfway and lining things up for you?
Definitely. I think that's where I think the law of attraction, like in The Secret, isn't properly taught, because it's really just about, if you just believe it, it will come.
Yeah.
Like, no, fuck you. You actually have to do some work. Like,
yeah.
you have to put your ass into the game and make it happen. And that's when, like, the world kind of rises up to meet you there. And of course, like, you know, you'll it's going to be an act of courage and an act of faith. And sometimes things aren't going to go smoothly. And you still have to be a total monk to your dreams and have so much faith in what you're doing and in that big dream of yours that you just turn up and do it anyway, even when shit is hitting the fan.
True. Very true. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that myself. It's like you can't just look at a picture of what you want and it comes, because you actually have to do what needs to be done. But when you take action, it seems like things a lot of times fall into place then. Really cool.
Totally. It's like total providence when you're taking action, and like the right people come in your direction, and you suddenly see the opportunities that you might not have seen otherwise.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about the importance of the closing out ceremony in the book, where some of the people were asking, like, is that a big deal? Do I really need to do that? I just want to forget last year, or should I do that? Like,
totally. Yes, like everybody wants to like fucking forget last year. If you've got the workbooks and you're struggling with doing it, just do as much as you can. It is an emotional process, but it is really, really important. And the reason it's important is because you've just been given 12 months of on the job experience of being a human. Yeah. And you will have received lessons and medicine and blessings and challenges along the way that all are there to craft you into being a wiser, stronger, more clearly yourself. And some of those experiences aren't easy at all. Like, some of them are just fucked.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the most challenging years was the year when I had to reflect back on being ill with hyperemesis gravidarum for 6 months, and I'd been in and out of hospital, and it was horrifically painful, and definitely the worst year of my life. Of course I didn't want to look at that. Yeah. And of course I was like, wanted to say, fuck you. You were bullshit. Like, I am taking nothing from you. But if we just totally like throw a year away, we're missing out on a huge opportunity for realizing the gifts of what it brought us. So for me, in my instance, I think about hyperemesis gravidarum, and it brought me 2 huge blessings in my life that changed me irrevocably. And I don't know if I could do without those changes. So first is that I did end up giving birth to my daughter Beth. And number 2 is that experience of going through chronic debilitating illness made me so much more compassionate and understanding of other people who were going through illness. It made me very, very human in a way I didn't feel it before. I didn't understand what suffering was before. And I also learned the true power of empathy, because it was the people who didn't try and fix me or say, oh, have you tried ginger and dry crackers? Or if you just do Reiki, then you will be cured. You know, like, insert every fucking hippie remedy under the sun. Bushflower essences, homeopathics. And I'm like, no, fuck you. My body is trying to kill itself. Like, I'm on chemo grade drugs here just to keep me alive. Like, nothing is touching this. And so the people who tried to, and of course they were trying to do it nicely, but the people who were trying to fix me, instead of really just say, I'm so sorry that you're suffering, babe. Like, that is just horrible. What is that like? You know, can you tell me more about it? Or what can I do? Or I know I can't do anything. I'm just going to be here and I'm just going to love you. That was fucking powerful for me. And to learn that instead of trying to fix people, because I was a chronic fixer. Like, I looked at him and I said, wow, you were kind of like a real pain in the ass, annoying person before.
Yeah, I guess that's a massive, like that's probably just totally changed who you are, the whole process. Yeah, I think everything that we go through that sucks has that potential to change us and make us better, but it still doesn't make it any more fun when we're going through it.
Oh, no. Bullshit. You can rail against it. And also, like, on now, because of, like, I am more empathic and more able to sit in the discomfort and be okay with having not positive feelings, it means that my relationships are much deeper than they were before. So, you know, a lot of people know that I now work with Grant Andrew in my business, and I don't think either him or I would have been ready to work together up until 2015, because I had to undergo a certain amount of challenges in order to be able to learn how to be in that kind of working relationship that, you know, is very honest, very, you know, like openly communicative, and where we can bash up against each other and press all of each other's buttons and stick with it and heal our shit through that process. I don't know if I would have had quite as much persistence before then.
Yeah, that's just kind of cool how things suck and they lead you to a better place. But so there's definitely a big benefit to us in going through and closing out and reflecting on it, because then you don't want to miss it. I don't think you could. Sometimes you can't miss it, but I guess you can. You might miss part of the lesson if you don't take that time to go back through. Maybe
if people just do as much as they can, and it might just germinate in their heads. Like one of the questions is, you know, like, what beautiful lessons did you learn? Like, you can just be honest and say, I really don't feel like I did learn any lessons. Like, that was a really, really challenging time. I don't even want to feel like that there were any blessings or lessons out of that, because it just felt so traumatic. Like, it's okay for you to speak your truth.
Yeah.
And it might, like, because you need to be able to say, that sucked. That was painful. That really didn't feel okay to me. Because, like, I can promise you, like, when I was writing down about hyperemesis gravity the first time, I was not cognizant of the blessings and lessons. Like, I had to get out of it like a year on before, like, it started making a bit more sense. But the seeds were already there, because there was a part of my mind that was going, what were the blessings and the lessons that I got out of that, you know? But it's okay for you to just be exactly where you are and feel pissy about it and share about that honestly.
Yeah. And I found that once I start writing in my workbooks, they're like off limits to the rest of the world, because I don't want to censor what I'm putting in there and write something that I think somebody else is going to think is a nice, good lesson, but it's not my truth. You know what I mean? So that's like, my kids are like, can we see it? Nope, not now. Mommy started writing. It's off limits now. So.
Yeah. That's it. It's like, you don't have to positivity wash. You don't have to feel a certain way. You don't have to, like, glean all the lessons. They'll come in time.
Yeah. So a lot of people have asked me about the list of 100 things that are in the workbook, and they're like, whoa. And I get it, because the first year I did it, I had 8 things out of the 100. And the next year I actually wrote down 100, and I did 57, I think. So I was like,
awesome.
I was like, that's awesome. But I'm kind of curious, like, what kind of things you put in your list of 100 things, and do you think it's necessary to come up with 100, or should you just do what makes you feel good? As far as
there's so many ways to do it. I know some people who will write down 25 each quarter.
Oh, that's cool. So you kind of break it up.
And they'll be like, oh, I'm not going to finish this because I'm going to add to it later. Like, that's totally cool. Like, if you've got that commitment to yourself to come back, maybe even put it into your calendar to go, oh, today's the day that I go back and check and add some more. The way I tend to do it is I use it as like the holding list for all of my dreams. So I'll go back through all of the different things that I've written through the rest of the book and just put them into the 100 things. So I'll have my health goals into there. I'll have my family goals into there. And so I've got like one list, and sometimes I even type it into my computer and just have the 100 things on my computer, and then I can like play around with the list. So I'll be like, all right, next up I'm going to do this. I also know other people who just try and be as silly as possible, just to expand their mindset of what is possible.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really cool. And then a lot of people in the workbook group as well, they share like their 100 things list, and you go, oh, that actually sounds really cool. I might do that. So some people kind of like use it their bucket list for the year. There's no wrong way to do this. And, you know, I love that you started with just 8.
Yeah,
That's totally fine too.
I did. I put 8 and I accomplished 5 out of the 8. And I was like, hey, that's pretty good. And then the next year when I wrote 100 and I got 57, I was like, oh yeah, so writing more definitely made me get, having more goals, I guess means you get more goals completed. But
yeah, it's true. And I mean, at any point in time, Chris my husband, he'll ask me, like, how many goals you got going now? And like, you know, I probably have maybe 200, 250 goals. And, you know, I have the ones, like the big ones that are point of mind that I can, like, rapidly call out. But the rest are all in my workbook. And I go back and review, and it all just starts sinking into place. And I'll go through and I'll highlight the things that I'm going to start working on as well, so I don't get overwhelmed.
That's cool. Do you, when you're doing that, like, do you come back to it and say, okay, for the next couple months, this is what I'm working on, or just as it feels?
Yeah, I tend to, like, the more you look at your workbook, the faster your goals will come true. It's like that. There's an analogy that says a millionaire looks at their goals once a day, a billionaire looks at them twice. And I dig that. You know, like I am now, I mean, this sounds so, you know, I am at the point where I'm a millionaire now. So it's like, okay, if I want to be a billionaire, I'm really going to step this game up. Yeah. Because I want to be a huge force for good in the world. I want to help as many people as possible. I want to be able to do massive, massive philanthropy efforts on top of what we're doing already. So, like, if me having more of my dreams come true means that that's what I need to do, then that's what I'll do.
Makes sense. I like how I listened to your webinar and you were talking about doing the SMART goals, because I found that too with some of the things that I wrote down. Like, some of them were things that I could measure, and then some of them weren't. And I was like, gee, I don't really know if I did that or not. I kind of tried to, but I don't have a way to measure it. So I do think that makes a huge difference.
Definitely.
Too.
And I mean, I started writing things like when I first started out, I would write goals like be a better mom, be a more present mom. And I mean, like, even if you're trying to be a more present mom, like, you get to the end of the year and you're like, well, I could have done more. So instead I would set goals like, you know, have 10 minutes a day of special time with my oldest daughter. Like, that is more achievable. That's something I can actually work towards, and something that I can feel good about when I complete it.
Yeah. So you know that you did it.
Yeah. And just doing that task also means that I'm, like, being a better mom. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually like achieved 2 goals in one.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you get that feeling of being a better mom because you actually did the measurable task and you get more connected. Yeah. And then I find that when I take something little like that, like for my kids, I read to them every night before they go to bed. So when I do that every day, it like adds to, it's like I end up doing more, you know, like sometimes if you just pick one thing that you're going to measure, but then you end up spending more time.
Totally. I just read this little meme and I really liked it. It just said, just remember to touch your kids like 7 times a day. And if they're going through a hard time, they might need to be like touched 10 times a day. So just like touching their hair, giving them a hug, you know, like stroking their cheek, or, you know, that kind of thing. And also the most important 9 minutes of the day are like the 3 minutes they wake up, the 3 minutes before they go to bed, and the 3 minutes when they get home from school or, you know, you get them back from the babysitter or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, like, I can fucking do that.
Yeah.
I can nail that. Like, stop telling me to be a more present mom and just, like, give me some fucking guidelines I can work with.
Yeah, I really like that. That's awesome tips there. Because
I like it. Right?
Yeah.
Helpful.
Yeah, helpful is good, because sometimes when you get like those broad things like be more present, you don't really know when you've done it.
Like, I bring it that stuff and I'm just like that is such a, like, it just fucks with me, because I feel like, well, I could do more because I want to, like, overachieve all the time. And then I always come up short because every single moment of every single fucking day I am not present. So, but 9 minutes and 9 touches, I can do that. I can do.
That is awesome advice right there. Yeah. So if someone gets your workbook for the first time, and especially like this year, you've got so many cool new things. It's like being a kid in a candy store when you're like, oh, look at this, look at this. But do you have tips for someone who this is their first year, they've got it, and they're like, whoa, what do I do? Like, what do you think would be the most important thing for them to do, or, how to dive in if they're like kind of not knowing where to start, because there is so many cool details in there now?
Sure. So if you've got life and business, I know people say, what do I start with first? And I start with the one that calls you first. Like, if you've got like things on the top of your head, like that you want to write out, like, just go with the book that applies to most. And you don't have to start and finish it all methodically. I skip around. So I usually start with the life closing ceremony. And as I'm doing the life closing ceremony, I'll like think of things that I want to do, and I'll go, oh, okay, I'm just going to go put those, like, go write those in the 100 things list so I don't forget that. And like the 100 things list is kind of my catch-all for when, like, I don't know where that's going to go. Fuck it, I'll just put it in the Then I usually do the business one, and then I'll come up with ideas, and so I start flipping around to that. And I mean, the one, it's okay if you don't finish like every single area of the book. Like, let's just give ourselves a break here. Mm-hmm. Just do what you can. And then hopefully next year you do even more. 2 is set yourself a goal by when to complete it. So for me, I usually say 31st of January, that's when it gets done. And so I'm just like, okay, that deadline, I need to make sure it's complete by then. And also having public accountability. So, join the workbook group, or, you've got, all of your peeps who are doing the workbooks together. That's awesome. Like, go, okay, guys, here's where I'm at. I'm at page 3. I've got 2 hours to work on it. I want to be at page 9, and I'll check back in.
Yeah, that's like I do a lot of writers groups too. So like, when you'll do the writing, you're like, okay, I'm going to check back in, and I'm going to have like 3,000 words done in the next 2 hours. So you can do that with each other and kind of do sprints and work in your work. Yeah. Oh, that's an awesome idea.
Yeah. I do everything by sprints. Like, my whole work day, my whole work life is sprints and public accountability. So I like go and tell somebody, even if it's great, my business partner or my mastermind group, or I'll post about it publicly and go, I'm going to be back here in 2 hours and have this done, or this list of things done. That's huge for me. And, like, I wrote my Double Your Business program, which is a huge program, like 50,000 words. And I did that in 3,000 word blocks. And I'd say to, my mastermind group, okay, I'll be back in 1 hour. I'll have 1,000 words written in an hour.
Yeah. Thanks.
Just, chunk it down, short deadlines, tell someone, go do it, report back.
Very cool. Yeah. Someone had asked me like how you would go about setting up daily routines and rituals based on the goals you've written in the workbook. So that's kind of like what you do a lot of. Do you kind of schedule out your days in advance? Like how many hours you're going to work on business related goals, or
so what I tend to do is like to try and turn everything into a system. So if you're in the academy at all, you probably have seen my Shining Habit system. Mm-hmm. And basically I create a spreadsheet of all of the things that I want to have done each day, and all of them are SMART goals. So, like it includes like sleep. Like, did I get 9 hours of sleep last night because I need a lot of sleep? Did I write, a new blog post? Did I check in on what tasks have been assigned to me and I complete all of them in our project management software? Like, all of the habits are there, and there's probably 20 or 30 of them. And then I share that spreadsheet with an accountability partner. And so we're constantly just like checking in and just going, yep, done that. So that's what works for me. I also, I think I might create like an app for it as well at some point.
That would be cool.
Academy members. It's like you just like log in and then you like go, yeah. So that would be awesome. So that's
that would be awesome, because I've been trying to do that. Like I have my little list of like all the things that I do on pretty much a daily basis, or all the things I do like every Monday and every Tuesday, and I've been like trying to just do like a check off thing, but I haven't found the right app, I guess. But the spreadsheet, that's cool. That's a good one too. Do.
Yeah. And I mean, it's lo-fi, but it fucking works.
Yeah. I've actually even thought of just photocopying something, because I'm really bad at making spreadsheets, but just like a checklist, and then just like laminate it and check them off every day, and then have a weekly one. But
I have one friend who does something really cool, is that they're like, okay, so I want to like have written 30 Facebook posts by the end of the month. And so she'll write that down, and then she'll draw 30 circles, and then she colors in each circle as she does it. And then you can like see exactly how many have been done.
That's cool.
And,
there's something really satisfying about like checking something off or coloring something in and saying that you did it. Yeah.
Big time. I'm on the right path. And especially because momentum builds momentum. So the more that you do towards your goals, like the more you get more and more energy to complete bigger goals. It works pretty amazingly. I mean, when I first started out with the workbooks, I think my business was doing maybe about 50 or 60 grand a year by that point. And now and that was 2009, 2010 was the first workbook. So, 5 years on, I've now got a $2 million a year company. And so the amount of things that I'm able to achieve just kind of grows each year as I learn how to do goals and do them well.
Right. And part of it is you have to have a system, right? If you're going to do as much as you're doing, and you're needing people to support you to do it. But that makes sense. I wanted to ask you, some people were asking me a little bit about the wild donkey technique that you have, and a little bit about it. And like, I think it's really cool because I've used it myself to get things done, but like how much, like, I'm sure there's like a percentage, like there's certain things that you could just do that, and then, but you wouldn't want to do that all the time, or it would kind of you'd be beat up from riding a donkey too much.
Big time. I definitely go through bursts of it, and sometimes the donkeys are smaller ones, and sometimes the donkeys are bigger ones. So, like when I created the workbooks this year, that was a really fucking huge donkey, because we wrote, we re-illustrated, we just like pulled the whole thing apart, turned it into 2 books, added so much, and completely transformed them, and then added the diary and a to-do list pad and that sort of stuff. So that was fucking massive, and that was a donkey that lasted a couple of months, and I was pretty burnt out after that. So I needed to take a couple of weeks off to kind of like chill again and like back into good habits and sleep and all that kinds of things. And then there's kind of smaller sized donkeys as well. So it's always a balance of, I'd love to achieve all of the bigger things under the sun and do it in the next 2.5 seconds. But that's not achievable without burning myself out or burning my staff out. So, one of the things last week I was talking to Grant about how, because of the amount of projects we had on this year, I hadn't created the sales page and the information page about the academy as well as I wanted to. And I mean, it's still converted, and we've still had 1,000 new members join this year. It just didn't really dig in and feel right to me. And so we tossed up, should we hire someone? Well, still I'm the best copywriter that we've ever used because I've learned so much in the last 11 years. And so what we decided to do instead was have a 2-day donkey ride, and we spent 2 days of like just really inhaling as much information as we could, and then we'd sit together for 5 hours a day on Skype and just nail it out together like as a donkey. And so, you know, we'll have that donkey of the sales page done in 2 days, and then we'll call in our designer and editor to do that. So we'll kind of call in the support on that end to make it happen as fast as possible. So, you know, and we definitely had to decide, is this the right time to do this? And will this burn us out if we do this? And it's just, you know, kind of going, okay, this is what we can achieve. This is the kind of donkey we can ride. This is the kind of deadline of a donkey we can ride. And, you know, making sure that we're making the right decision, because we know that, like, donkeys, like, if you do a good job on a donkey, like, you do feel a little bit crispy afterwards and need a bit of restoration. I mean, it gets shit done. Really.
Yeah, I guess it's just a balance. Like, sometimes you can go off and ride the donkey and get something done and then take a little break. And then sometimes you have to just kind of go back to the systems and do a prescribed amount every day and go back and forth. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's very cool. Okay. How do you overcome fears of doing what needs to be done to complete your goals? Like, if you put goals in there and you're just like kind of overwhelmed with fear or frozen in taking the steps that you need to take to get that done, what would you suggest?
Yeah. So what I've discovered is this: I can tell you all the reasons under the sun that you shouldn't be afraid and that it's fine, just do it. Just yeah, go for it. But the thing is, we all have fears, and some of them are very, very deeply ingrained from childhood shit and lessons and patterns and tapes we've picked up along the way, and how scary it is to be seen. And, you know, like a lot of times our fears are trying to protect us, but in a way that isn't helpful,
right,
in us to grow. So the best way, the fastest way, the smartest way I've found to overcome fears is actually to go, right, I want to fix this fear. I'm going to find the thing that works for me and do that. So therapy, kinesiology with somebody like Kerry Rowett, because I know kinesiology in the US is like means something slightly different here than in Australia. So I always say, the one that awakenkinesiology.com, that one, do that one. And that kinesiology is like, you can do it over Skype. You turn up for a 1-hour session. You go, okay, here's my goals. Here's my fears. And then they sort of start going like kind of a deep dive into, right, this is the patterns that's all like applied to. This is like past life or present life stuff. And you go through and you clear it in the space of an hour. And it's like, that's fucking bonza. Like, something in an hour. I am like, intuitive healing. If you've got a really good intuitive healer like Kira Boga, she's also really, really gifted at that sort of stuff. Therapy, counseling, life coaching. If you do EFT and EFT works really, really well for you and you're getting results, do that. So basically, don't be afraid to invest in fixing your shit, because it's the most important thing that you will do in your lifetime. I can tell you, like, whole of heart, if I did not have like a total commitment to healing my shit, healing my fears, healing my worries and patterns about why I shouldn't do that goal, there is no fucking way on God's green earth the company that I have be as publicly visible as I have, because there's definitely been times where I'm like, fuck this. I do not want to be responsible for this. I do not want to be like that visible. I don't want to attract that much attention. You know, I don't want haters. I don't want like to be responsible for that amount of money and like all of those fears. I have fears. I just deal with them.
Yeah. So it's not like just like feel the fear and do it anyway, but it's actually to get support. Like you're going back to that thing of taking action and going, okay, I'm afraid of this, so I'm going to do the kinesiology, or I'm going to sign. So just, I don't know. I guess for me too, it's like throw anything and everything at it and try it. Like, yeah, I'm going to go get some Reiki done. Okay, that helped, but I still have it. So I'm going to go talk to my life coach, and that helped. Yes. But, you know, so you just kind of have to take any means that works for you to support you to keep going forward.
And here's the thing, like, I've been on such an exploration of what works. Like, you know, I've tried out every fucking thing. And that's been great. It's been a really great journey. And also, as you do it, you realize, oh, this is the thing that works for me, because we're all completely different and we all are motivated in different ways. So for me, you know, like going to Kerry and going to Hero, that's shorthand for go fix. My husband and Granto, they'd be like, Leonie, do you think it might be time to book in a session? Like, you know, like your shit is tripping you up. That's what they're saying. Like, get over your fucking shit, because it's frustrating and it's annoying and it's affecting the company and it's affecting us. So there we go. Like, as people who, like, you know, if you're in a small business or big business, like, your shit is the number one thing that fucks up your success. So go deal with it. Like, personal transformation is part of this journey. So enjoy the ride.
Yeah. So it doesn't change for anybody. It's like, even if you're just a mom taking care of your kids, a stay-at-home mom, your shit and your fears and everything affects that. And then if you're like CEO of a huge company, so you don't get rid of that journey. I guess it's ongoing for everybody, no matter what's your path. There's always a new one, a new level to go up to. But I guess you get those plateaus in the middle, that the sweet spot that makes it work.
So floaty and good. Then you trip over your own shit again. Like, God damn it. All right, I'll go fix that. Like, and especially like wherever it's showing up in one area of your life, like, you can bet your fucking ass it's showing up in another area of your life, and in a way that you don't necessarily realize. You know, like every place I've tripped over in work has definitely been, and I've had to learn how to heal something. That's made me a better wife and a better mom and a better friend.
Oh yeah, I can see that, because I know just for myself, on the small scale that I'm on, just the little fears and hurdles and things that I've gotten over, and it just changes how I interact with everybody, not just you know, clients online, but it changes how I interact with my husband, changes how I interact with my kids, and everybody, friends, everybody out in the world. So I guess it's facing your fears and getting help isn't fun, but it's definitely worth the process.
Totally. And, you know, when I had Grant join me, you know, I knew that there's no way that we could work together if he wasn't doing it at the same time as well. So I was like, all right, well, as a condition of your job, I'm booking you in to do fortnightly kinesiology sessions. You can't, like, escape the joy of your own shit. Like,
that's kind of an awesome job requirement, though. I mean, can you imagine what the world would be like if, like, all of these big companies, like, signed on? People are like, okay, you're going to be, you know, either doing coaching or kinesiology or healing sessions. I mean, like, wow.
It's been such a joy as well to watch him transform. I mean, like, of course you have to be open to the work. If he was like, fuck me, that would not have worked at all. I'm very grateful that he's so open to it as well. And he's like, wow, okay, this is making a big difference. And then seeing, like, how he's clearing his blocks has just made me even more passionate about clearing my own blocks, because it so much more is possible when you do.
Yeah, totally. So do you have any tips for deciding what goals you really want to achieve? Because I know that sometimes we get stuck in, like, this is the goal that I should do next, or this is the goal that my mom says I should do, or my dad says I should do, or my spouse thinks that it's really good for me to do this. And when you're going through that workbook and you're doing it, is there any way that... Sorry, my dog's gone nutty out there, but
I've got dogs as well. It's usually mine. It's like such a relief that it's not my dog for a change. I'm like, oh, good. Everybody else has got this dog as well.
Yes, I do.
Or I have the children that start rattling on the door. It's like, Mom! Mom! So that's a really good question. And I think because I've been doing this for so long now that I don't really feel like I give a genuine fuck about other people's goals for me, because there's no joy in them, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you feel like you've got to do that, like go to kinesiology and clear the idea that you need to do somebody else's goal and that will make you happy, and that to be loved and approved by somebody else is the end game here. That will make you feel better about you. Like, truth time, like, it won't. Like, even if they love and accept you, you're still stuck with yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And so
yeah.
it's an inside job. It's always an inside job. And I guess in some ways, like, I see life, I'm surrounded by wonderful people and beautiful souls. I have an awesome husband and awesome work team. But even if they didn't love me, it wouldn't matter. Like, because that's my job.
Yeah.
And it's my job to believe that I can achieve my dreams. Like, it is not my husband's job to cheer me along. It's not my husband's job to be like, you're amazing. Like, I'm so proud of you. That's not his job. Like, he says it's great. I don't care. Like, so it's like the voice we are really wanting to hear is the voice of ourselves that says, I love you. And I approve of you. I am so proud of you. And like, my staff are so used to me, like, we'll hit a really great result and I'll just wrap my arms around myself and go, oh God, I'm so proud of you. Like, this fucking I'm having a quiet moment celebrating with myself. And of course I'll celebrate with them as well and proud of us all as a team. But it really, like, it all starts in here of tending to yourself and giving yourself the words and the love and the affirmation and the belief that you need, and everything else can sort itself out.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So it's kind of that journey of loving yourself. And I think some people are in that habit. They've been trained to people please and please their parents from a young age, and they kind of lose track of who they are. So just going back to all those things like the kinesiology, the whatever EFT or whatever works, because I guess that in and of itself is a fear that keeps you from getting your goals, the fear that your goals aren't good enough for everybody else.
Totally. And that's not to say that you can't co-create your goals. Like me and my husband, I sit down with him and say, okay, what is it that we want to achieve this year together? In the field of our family, what is it that we are wanting to create together? How much money do we want to have in savings? How many holidays do we want to take? What do we want for our kids? Those kinds of things. And we can talk about it together and, compromise where we can and just have goals that we both feel really good about together. So you can co-create. And of course with my team as well, like they're now at the point they're like, well, I want to set the goals for social media. And I'm like, great. Go for it, girl. So like that's really cool as well. And as long as you're like in alignment, it's great.
Cool. So is that something you would recommend people do? Like if they're married or they're in a serious relationship, that they have like a list together that they create for relationship goals? Or
yeah, I think so. And I mean, like my husband is the most, what's a good way of saying this? He's untamable and untrainable. That's a really good thing because I'm such a intense person myself. Like if I had a yes person being married, like I would just run over them and control their lives. So my husband's like, no, you are not controlling me. Like I am a wild Mustang. Like I am running through the forest. So if I was like, okay, we're sitting down now to write down our goals, he would be like, I'm out. Like, no, no, you don't get to control me like that. And so for me, what works is to talk about in a really casual kind of way. I know some husbands are like, yeah, cool, let's sit down and write. It really depends on like personalities. So what usually happens is, like, if we're in the car and driving someplace, I'll say, oh, hey, babe, like, how much money did you run in the bank by the end of the year? Or do you think we'd invest in another thing this year? Or what kind of adventures are you thinking of this year? And, I'll just, and then I'll remember them and I'll write them down later. And usually he's got, like, maybe 4 things. Like, my husband's got, like, very, like, a small number of goals because that's his personality. He's very chilled out being. And that balances out nicely with my hyperactivity. And I write them all down, and we do a little check-in at the end of the year, but in a non-sit-down environment, very casual. I don't want to frighten the wild Mustang who believes I'm trying to tame him.
that is very good advice, especially for me, because I've done that thing. Like, I got the notebook and I'm like, hey, honey, I think we should have like a weekly meeting. Okay. And he's like, I'm really tired this month. And so doing it that way would probably be better. And for me, it's like, because I'm like that too. I want to do the numbers and the things. And we run another business together. So I'm like, well, this month we should. And he's like, no, don't. So, but he loves to have lunch. He's like, let's go have lunch. Don't bring the notebook though. So I guess that's what I need to do, because he's on that same plane as your husband. Like, I don't want to write it down. I don't want to see your spreadsheet. But I mean, he wants to succeed and he works really hard. But that part is just like, not his thing. And I guess that's probably going to happen in most relationships. There's going to be the one person who's like anal about everything and the other one who's just free flowing. So
Totally. Totally. I think I've only got like one couple friends who like are like equal anal. Wow. Probably should. I'm just going to back. They both really love spreadsheets. That's what I'll say. And so it's fine. And like, I think like, you go out to lunch and just have casual conversations. And just have things in your head that you might want to think about, like to talk about, and really listen. Try not to like control the conversation by going, oh, and then, but if we do that, then just listen and try and like actually have a conversation about it, and then you can record it later.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's really hard for me probably not to like open my phone and start taking notes, but that would totally throw the whole thing off. He'd be like, no.
I'm out.
That's what happens, I guess, in the realm of relationship. Fun.
Totally. And, yes, and so it's just a way of finding things that work for you, and of finding ways that work together for you. And it may not look exactly how you want, but that's relationship.
Yeah, I have lots of notebooks that I've converted for different things. It's like, this is our weekly marriage meeting notebook. Yeah, never lasts more than the first week. I don't know why I get so excited about doing those kind of things.
Totally, you're like, this is so going to work. And then you bring another person to the picture and you're like, wow, no.
Yep.
If I said that to my husband, he would be like, no, nope, no, it's not. That's not going to happen. No. So, yes, casual.
Yeah. I'm going to have to make that my mantra. Actually, my word for this year is allow. So I'm going to have to allow him to do it his own way, and allow myself to do it my crazy notebook way, and mesh it together the way it goes.
Yes, that's a lovely.
Sorry, there goes my crazy dog again.
What's his name?
Actually, it's a she, Lily.
Oh,
yeah,
Lily. Oh, that's so cute.
She is adorable, except for when I try to record things, and she either barks or scratches at the door. So, what can you do?
My friend Lily is looking after my girls today, and my daughter Sarah said, "Mum, Lily's going to be my babysitter tomorrow." And I said, "That's right." And she goes, "Lily is a flower, and Lily is also a girl's name." Like, yes, it is. And she just put it together. She's going to have one name.
That's cool.
About your dog, and she'll be like, three dogs, girls, flowers.
Yeah. So, what do you advise people to do, like in the moments, like during this year when like everything is not going right and things are spiraling out of control and they're thinking, I haven't looked at my notebook or my workbook for a month. Like, what would you do in that moment to kind of get yourself back on track or back to a happy place?
Yeah, I would, I think like the best thing for everybody to do is like set yourself an artist date. Julia Cameron talks about artist dates, and I don't do them as frequently as she says that you're supposed to. I think she says weekly, but that's never going to happen for me. Well, maybe it will. Maybe it will. But I would go out of your current work environment, like your house, your office, or whatever is like your current space. Go to a cafe, go to a park, go to a gallery, wherever you like to go, and just sit down with yourself and maybe do some journaling like, well, this really fucking sucks. The reason I created the weekly diary planners this year is so like there's a monthly check-in at the beginning of every month. And so, you have a review of like what sucks, what doesn't, where am I getting off track? How do I get back on track? What goals do I want to reset for the next month? Like, I think that's a really useful way to kind of structure that. But if you don't have that book yet, or you use a different planner, then just going out with yourself and just refreshingly, like just read back over the workbook. What I tend to do is I always take a pen in a different color that I've written in, or a highlighter, and I'll tick off or cross things that I've already completed. I'll circle things, and it just reminds me again of that overall vision and that big dream of mine. And it just helps me reset, really. And sometimes I'm a really fucking terrible journaler. Like I'm just going to, but like, I know that's probably like people aren't going to expect that, but sometimes I actually need things for me to actually fill out in order for me to do it. I'm not going to be like, what's a good question for me to answer right now? I sort of like have to have a system that shoves me in that direction because I can nail that. It's like doing an exam. I'm like, I'll answer it. Okay. And I'll answer it with all the space that it's got. Yeah. So you know what kind of person you are. Do the thing that works for you. But yes, I think the regular artist dates, even if you just go out into your backyard, as long as you just kind of get out and have a refresh, it's a really good thing.
Thanks. Yeah.
One of the things I should say as well, one of the things I do as a mum is that I realized like I wasn't actually getting any like kind of chill time to myself. So I've now got in my calendar that I have a mama's retreat on Sunday afternoon. So my youngest one goes to bed and she sleeps a couple of hours. I put my other one in front of the TV. I'm like, you go watch a movie now. Like, I don't mind. Like, this is guilt-free TV time. And I am going to bed with all my journals and all my workbooks. And I'm going to do art journaling in bed, and I am just going to enjoy myself for a couple of hours. And you'll be amazed at how different my week is, because like I have that space in my calendar where I'm like, this is dedicated me time. I'm in bed, I close the door, everybody can go look after themselves. I'm filling my well. And that it feels incredible.
Yeah, with 4 kids, like I learned that.
What the fuck, man? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's actually in a good place now because I have 16 and then I have 11-year-old twins and a 10-year-old.
Oh,
but when they were like all 3 of the youngest ones were in diapers, I was about to lose my mind. I'm going to try to see if I can get my dog out of here, but come on. I found like, I would be like, oh, I can't afford to have a babysitter or whatever. And I know there's one of the ladies in my group and she's like, I've got 5 kids and, I don't get me time. And I'm like, you can't live without me time. You have to like find another mom you can trade off with or do whatever. And yeah, that's, you lose your mind if you don't take that time for yourself. So I think that's a great idea, is to like schedule something every week where you have a few hours, like, and no matter what kind of thing to do, but yeah.
Totally.
So.
I mean, like, we have a part-time nanny as well now because we were slowly going insane. And also my friend Lily, like a flower, like a dog, like a person. She's got kids, and so we do babysitting co-op so that we can have dates with our husbands. So we're taking the kids over there. She'll look after them, and then we've got the kids on the weekend. And so her and her husband can go out and do something and not have screaming children. So that, like, it's okay if you don't have money, just be creative about how you do it.
Yeah. I think it's if you tell yourself you can't do it, you're telling yourself a lie, because there's always a way to find a way. And if you don't, then you're going to burn yourself out and be sad mommy. And I've been sad mommy before. I don't want to do that game again. I've learned.
Same. I would 100% rather be a happy mum that is away part of the time than a sad full-time mummy. Like, that is not good for anybody.
No, it's not good for your kids, not good for you. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I remember when my first daughter was, and I was like trying to do everything myself. Like, I am super mom and I can do it all. And then I would just be like crying, like, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And my husband was like, you didn't know it's going to be like this to have a kid? And I was like, no. And then I got help, and I was like, oh, I can still have a life and be a mom. And even if you don't have kids, trying to be the super person and do everything just never.
It's insanity. Yeah. It's insanity.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other final tips to make the most of 2016? What's your
surround yourself with really good people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It makes such a difference for you to really make sure that you've got wonderful people in your life who also have goals and who are going after them and who are positive and who are supportive. If you've got people who aren't heading in that same direction, like, you need to either lovingly release it or limit the amount of time. If that person happens to be your husband, because I know a lot of people do ask me about that, like, well, my husband's really negative. Like, I think obviously I don't know your relationship because I'm not a relationship counselor. Mm-hmm. If you need to go to relationship counseling, do that. Like, I am a huge advocate for relationship counseling. I would not be married today still after 15 years and be happy if we hadn't gone to relationship counseling. And also for me the great allowing is to allow my husband to be exactly who he is and not take it personally and not try and make him into a positive person because that's what I need him to be. Instead, really become this centrifugal force of determination. I'm always saying that I'm a monk to my dreams because I believe in them, and I turn up every single day and do what's needed and surround myself with other people who are doing exactly the same thing. So make sure that you have a posse of women who are doing that, and be in a mastermind, whether it's online or face-to-face. If you can do both, even better. Mm. That sort of stuff is hugely, hugely empowering.
Yeah, I can see that for me, that makes like the biggest difference. This past year, I had another friend we did the workbook together. We had a little base camp. So we would put our goals on base camp so I could see what she was doing. She could see what I was doing. And like, if one of us hadn't worked on a goal for a while, be like, hey, like, that one's been there for 3 months. What are you going to do with that? Are you like done with it? Or are you going to change it and stuff? And then we got together for an actual 3-day at the beach mastermind retreat. And we did Skype once a month. And like, I made so many more of my goals this past year than I did just the year before. And it wasn't like I was just like brand new starting to goals, but just having that.
That's huge.
Yeah, that accountability. And it's just, it's helpful when somebody else is doing it and you're helping them and they're helping you, and you just both want to see others succeed. And, you know, I think big groups are good too. But for me, because I've did some online groups with more people, but then just having that one-on-one with one friend, sometimes or one partner, can be really powerful. It's
Really,
when you've got
that's
the right
fantastic.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, big time. Because you want to be with somebody who's not like, oh no, I don't think I can. Oh, like you want somebody who's as dedicated to the process as you are, or
Yeah.
even more so that you like have to like pick up your fucking game.
Yeah, like the exercise people who run and you have to keep up with them.
Yeah, it's true. Like be around people who make you lift up your game.
Yeah, that is fabulous advice.
Yeah, and like it can be in different ways as well. Like me and Grant are each other's accountability partners, and he's really good at like committing quality time to his kids and his wife. He's like, you know, on this day I'm going to be doing this, and like that's really important. And I just think, wow, that's he's kind of further along the journey than me because he's got older kids and he's, you know, like been married for a really long time, and so it's sort of like, oh, that's beautiful, like to see that kind of the results of that. And then because I'm so tactical and systems orientated, he's like, wow, you make me really lift my game in this area. So like be around people who make you lift your game and be a better person in every area.
Yeah, that's very good advice.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Good fun. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. It was awesome.
Thanks Michelle.
To talk to you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and getting up so early in the morning to talk to me.
Time zones. It's, you know,
yes, it's a crazy thing.
It is indeed. It's like, oh, this is the only point in time when people in America are awake. Guess I'll have to wake up for it then. Awesome. Well, let me know if you need anything more, and thank you so much. And sorry, I'm so sorry again for small.
No problem at all. Thank you so much. And
my pleasure. Thanks, Michelle.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast. Connect with me on thedailyalchemy.com or Facebook at facebook.com/Michelle Dobbins author. Join us next time for even more magical life tips.